Basically, my name's Andy Thomson. I've been involved with Enkel for a good few years now. As you saw with Jose's presentation with a group called Stop Prosecco. Guido is a really inspiring guy. And basically, over a period of time, through studies that I've been doing in the circular economy that have been closely linked to the MacArthur Foundation, and one of the professors over there, sort of come to this sort of realization, I don't know, it's a realization, but this sort of observation about how we're all going about trying to move towards this new economy, everybody that's in this space. So anyway, this is the first time I'm presenting this. The space has been in this sort of environment, a bit alien for me, so. And after the three guys who just presented, I feel a little bit, under pressure, but here we go. So basically all living systems, be that you, me, a civilization, social innovation, seem to go through cycles of life that form an interconnected, continual, adaptive cycles of life on Earth. Okay, so they go through stages of birth, growth, maturity, and decline. So we see sort of progression over time. And what we generally see is shorter waves within larger waves. So you see the big blue line, the larger wave, and then blue lines within that create the different stages. So if you look at your life, you go through childhood, adolescent, working life, and so forth. And capitalism as our dominant economic system is no different, okay, having evolved through different phases over many years. And however, whilst it's brought a lot of benefits, often we forget about that. We sort of only see the bad aspects, but it has brought a lot of benefits. There's massive concern across many parts of the world, all over the different parts of society, as we've seen today. There's no longer fit for purpose, at least in its present form, and is trending towards a phase of decline. Okay. It's very simple, it's just graphical here, it's not exact or anything by any means. In a continuing search for alternative, many frameworks, initiatives and movements popping up that work at different scales, scopes, achieving different degrees of success. So going from conscious capitalism, the circular economy, solidarity economy, the gift economy, there's loads of different initiatives. Some of them you guys might be involved with here as well. And the list is diverse and growing, okay? Many of these share similar overlapping goals along the lines of serving the needs of the people in ways that are ecologically sustainable, socially just, and culturally diverse. So, looking at what came out yesterday as well at JP's great session, for those of you who were there, they sort of tie into this statement that we've sort of taken from the Need Network. But, and I think this is the important part, is that a lot of these initiatives differ on their approach to making change happen, okay? So if we look at the wave again, at the top in blue we've got the reformist, which is basically trying to create a new wave within a smaller wave within a bigger wave, so trying to extend capitalism forward, or the revolutionary approach, which is we want something completely different, yeah? So a new wave, essentially. So moving beyond capitalism, post-capitalism. So we just, juxtapose the two main approaches that a lot of these initiatives fall into. On the left, we've got the reformist, so generally working within the present paradigm, aims to proactively address the pressing challenges, using more rapid, efficient, practical solutions, has a strong focus on disruptive technologies and opportunity-driven innovation and change. Generally, it's more top-down. And what we generally sort of see is trying to decouple growth from natural resource use and degradation, things like corporate social responsibility, and in general, essentially trying to do less bad, yeah? So, just to sort of summarize that, we're looking to reform capitalism, shape it into something that works better. On the revolutionary side, people in this sort of space generally work outside the present paradigm, explore alternatives that avoid causing the challenges in the first place, by trying to address the deeper ethical and structural social economic factors. A lot of the time it's purpose and people-driven innovation and change using wise use of disruptive technologies, not just throwing them in there, thinking about how do we use them and what benefit can they add. It's often more bottom-up, and generally it's about questioning capitalism, economic growth as the cause of these issues that we see. So exploring new ways of living and looking to do more good or being generative. So just to summarise there, trying to birth something completely new, or which, as we've discussed today, is sort of moving post-capitalism, moving beyond capitalism itself. So which is the best approach, you know? Having worked in both sides, it often sort of comes up, okay? So what we're going to do now is just a bit of a quick interactive hands in the air study. So if I pose the question to you, what would your preferred approach be based on what you're hearing today and everything else? Not what you actually do, what would be your preferred approach? And what I'm going to do is call out a series of numbers starting at 0, and I just want a quick show of hands. Okay? So if you think, you know, we can just carry on business as usual, quickly just raise your hands. Nobody? Alright, good. I thought I'd just put it in there just in case. So if you're more of a, you think we need more of a reformist approach, if you want to put your hands up, number 1. Okay, so we've got 1, 2 people there. If you're sort of in the middle between a reformist, revolutionary, or not too sure, yeah, it's quite a few people. And then if we went to the revolutionary side, how many people? So it's about the same again. Between 2 and 3, it's about half and half. Okay. So if I throw in this next question, what approach do you adopt on a daily basis at your work or wherever that may be, whether it's paid, whether it's voluntary? Let's go through it again, obviously. Business as usual. Well, there'll probably be a few people maybe in that space, yeah? Show of hands? Yeah, 1 or 2. Reformist. So there's a good proportion of reformists here. Number 2, somewhere in the middle. Okay. And revolutionary. Okay. Cool. Elaine, you just put your hand up twice. What's going on? Would that generally be a lot of the voluntary work goes into the revolutionary side? Just as, yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll look at the pros and cons of each. You know, on the reformist side, has the potential to attract money, influential leaders, some of the resources. Helps with scalability and raising mainstream awareness. It's good for pressing challenges, but potentially too slow or ineffective medium to long term. As it's often compromised by the profit growth motives that we often see and discussed already today. If we move to the revolutionary side of things, far-sighted solutions, okay? It often resonates with people's sense and desire for purpose that often we're not getting in our everyday lives or work. It can take time to scale, it's not easy. Resistance from the powers that be, and also the mainstream. I think sometimes we have to be careful of alienating the mainstream and see things being too radical depending on the narrative that we use. And it's not easy, there's often a lack of resource. We just had a discussion today with a chap who's looking to get a space and basically said the same thing. Often it comes down to money, yeah? And, if you're in the revolutionary space, the far end, it's hard work. People often burn out, and if you've got a family and a house, it's difficult to keep going there. So what I've noticed interacting with various people is we often pit one approach or initiatives in that approach against the others, even though we ultimately want to create a similar, want to achieve a similar goal. And I think things are changing, as we've discussed today. So this is maybe going back 2 or 3 years through this process that I've been through, this sense-making process. But people sort of make choices and move into their silos, and then sort of they defend whatever initiative they're involved with, even the main NINA Symposium or conference last year. I think me and Karim were in a session, and it was something weird happened, and you sort of see it happening quite a lot. So this mentality of us against them sort of seeps in without us even realising or understanding that we're doing it. And we also see that as things develop, or people that maybe want to be further over to the revolutionary side, technologies, whatever it may be, it often gets pulled to the left. Business as usual pulls it back over. And through conversations with people involved in the MacArthur Foundation, which is very much sort of a reformist, they discuss the same thing. They discuss initiatives getting watered down and being exploited, and they get a little frustrated with it. So if the studies of social tipping points hold true, and one's just come out lately, and there was another one a few years ago, that basically said that you need between 10 to 25 people to make a stand for large-scale social change to occur. Okay, so the first one, the 10%, was done basically through simulations and trying to calculate the percentage of people, and the 25% has come through actual experiment testings with groups of people. So for me, rather than being trapped by our silos, we need to learn from one another, as we've been discussing today, work more collectively to overcome these forces that exist. And often we shape them as these evil things, but it's also part of the system that we live in. Yeah. And find new ways to allow more people to move into this space to try and hit that sort of critical mass. Okay. Whether those numbers hold true, I don't know. Therefore, I think we're in a transition phase. Yeah, instead of sort of saying we're this or that, we're post-government, we're in a transition phase where a lot of different things need to emerge. And no one person or approach or initiative has all the answers. I think we need to remind ourselves of that when we sort of get pulled into the sort of silo syndrome. Capitalism is not going to disappear overnight. But regardless of that, I think it is towards the top. Whether we get another phase, a shorter phase, whatever it may be, it's in a maturity phase, I think, and we're just extending that forward. So we definitely need these new things coming together. We need something new evolving, pretty quickly. It's already starting to happen, but essentially this is why we're sort of bringing people into the same room. So we're in a transition phase for me. It's not one thing or the other. It's all part of the same thing that's a bit difficult to sort of understand, and you have a bit of cognitive dissonance. You're like, am I there? Am I here? And I think we've just got to find a way to sort of be in that space, But there's roles for everyone to play, which we'll explore in the next session. From those at the forefront, so those who are leading the revolutionary side, trying to create brand new things, to those who work in the present paradigm, who often have access to money and other things, and if they're smart enough and there's conversations going over, they can hopefully redirect and help the other thing start to grow. And also, I think more importantly not more importantly, but we often forget it's the people who can act in the middle and feel comfortable. Okay. So today, a lot of people have been talking about emergence and different things. So what is emergence? Okay, emergence is when the smaller elementary parts with certain properties interact in such a way giving rise to new, larger living entities with more advanced properties. So we already discussed ants today, but this is, I don't know if you've ever seen it, so just Googling videos of ant bridge. Emergence is a central phenomenon in nature. We can look to it with biomimicry and things like that for lots of different inspiration, not just on how we make stuff, but how we interact with one another as well. So essentially you've got the individual agents who come together and essentially they just create these bridges. If they fall into the water together, they all come together and create like a little life raft and stay buoyant. It's pretty crazy really. And the same with the forest. We've got big and small coexisting together as part of an ecosystem, yeah? So emergence happens when no agent decides, when simultaneous actions spring up in many different areas. And this is the critical part that connect. If they connect, they can become powerful systems with influence at higher levels, okay? And if they don't, little happens beyond each locale. So for people who've got different initiatives, you know, we're all in this sort of space, we're going to help one another get things moving. However, and this is an important point, I think, for a system to be successful and resilient, that is to withstand and recover quickly, mid-range coupling is required. So if you look at the curve here, we've got resilience upside, connectivity. We want to be somewhere around the middle. You know, if we get too tight, you know, it's like a forest. If you've got contagion in there, it can cause a lot of damage quite quickly. So we need that resilience. So, as Jose explained today, we're part of a group called Stop Reset Go, also here locally, Enkel, and I think everyone who's been part of Enkel has been a bit of a strange process, but we've all sort of grown with one another. And Enkel, like these other groups that are popping up, like Nina, and these emergent spaces. Okay, so with Enkel, we've got people who sort of span the whole range, you know, some more this end, some more this end, some more in the middle. And also the people that we've partnered with as well. We don't say, no, we're going to work with just revolutionaries or people at the reform edge. We try and take everybody in and, you know, interact with them as best possible. So what we've noticed with our approach is, you know, we don't really fit into any of them. Our collective approach to change ebbs and flows based on our interactions with one another, situation and what we're trying to achieve. So, like I said, we've got an emergent approach within Enkel, and I think it's taken us a long time to sort of understand that. You know, it's not been easy. And what I would say to that is that the people who are in Enkel and other groups like it, they go off into their other groups, their jobs or whatever, and they take some of that with them. Okay. So what we sort of see is people who are maybe at the reform edge because of the revolutionaries sort of move this way, and the revolutionaries probably don't move, but they understand more of what the people are thinking down at this end, which I think, you know, it's good. And we sort of had that when we went to the NINA conference last year, you know, and it's good. And I think Adam spoke about this last night, but we need more spaces, events, processes, different things to encourage emergence. You know, as humans, you know, we're uncomfortable with it because of, you know, our education or whatever it may be. We've sort of been conditioned to have everything planned out. And, you know, we want to do certain things like this, even though it's all around us, and the good things in life often just emerge. You know, when you meet somebody, friends, whoever it may be, they're, you know, the good moments. So as such, this event is being developed with emergency in mind, and we encourage you to embrace the uncertainty and see where it takes us. Because from here on out, we're going to sort of introduce games and various different things, as Karun has explained. So just to summarise, we have all the solutions. We've been discussing many of them today. We just need to find new ways to work closer together, to implement them into something tangible that can attract more of the mainstream, okay? So that we can get towards these social tipping points of 10, 25%, whatever it may be. And for me, this requires everyone who's working towards improving the world, regardless of their approach, their initiative, wherever it may be, to see beyond their differences and work towards achieving these similar dreams and goals that we sort of all hold. So that's it.